once they dropped me, I was just like, dang, I'm done. I was gonna quit. I actually did quit. I called my mom. I said, Mom, I can't be running. I'm not on the track team. I can't be running like that. I will never get over that. That's the worst thing that I've ever done. They were up 14. We had 13. I had to serve, missed my serve. They won 15-13. You're the one that's in this position again. You kind of have to redeem yourself. Or you don't need to actually win the game to be a winner. But as long as you gave everything that you possibly could have, and that was your 100%, you win.
Welcome to the Winners Club podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Wilson. Today I'm here with D1 volleyball player Aleeyah Galdeira. Aleeyah, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We're going to get into your mindset and also what it's like being a D1 athlete. But before we do that, I want to hear about your journey to become a D1 athlete. So where are you from and who are you as an athlete growing up?
I'm from Oahu, Hawaii, and I've been playing volleyball since probably 10 years old, maybe 11. I played high school ball for a little, but I stopped my junior year because of an ACL injury.
Okay.
And I was going to quit. I actually did quit, and I was like, okay, I'm done. And then another school reached out to me, which was Utah Valley. They're like, hey, you can come on a visit, and just like, they weren't offering any money. So I was like, okay, I'll just come, yeah. And my mom was kind of pushing. She's like, come on, like, you should go play. I'm like, Mom, I haven't played in 2 years. Like, this is my senior year now. And she's like, well, like, you still shouldn't just go to school to go to school. You should try and get money for volleyball. Maybe you can work your way up, is what she was trying to tell me. And then the old head coach of UNT reached out to me, and he's like, hey, I have a 2-year for you. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm in Hawaii. I want to come watch you play. I'm like, Mom, I can't go play. I haven't played in 2 years, And she's like, okay, well, just go do whatever you can. I'm like, okay. So I go. He offers me the 2 years. My old club coach at the time was like, well, you should just try to get 4 years. Like, I'm going to push for the 4 years. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then he got it, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to go. So whenever I came up in June. I had committed to UNT in May, came up in June, and yeah, that's how I got here.
In high school, you played beach volleyball and indoor volleyball?
Yes.
That's correct. So how did doing each one help the other? And then why did you settle on doing indoor volleyball?
I think I settled on indoor because I was more comfortable with it. But beach volleyball definitely helped with like reading, like just reading tendencies of hitters.
If I'm not mistaken, I think you made it to the beach volleyball like state finals. Is that right? So why'd you choose indoor instead of beach volleyball? Were you better at beach volleyball? Which one were you better at?
I actually think I was a little better at beach volleyball, but like I said, just more comfortable with indoor. And I think my height definitely, I was like, I don't know if people will take me. I'm a little short, so.
What made you choose UNT? Were there other schools that you were looking at, or was that the one like the coach came to talk to you, so was that the only school you were looking at? Once
I had let the schools know prior to my injury, they kind of all just dropped me.
Oh, no.
Like, no. So I was just like, might as well. I have some family in Texas. It was so new to me. So I was just like, let's go for it.
Let's go for it.
There was really no thinking behind it. I was just like, let's go. Yeah.
Was that your toughest part of your journey?
For sure. I think my main school that I was looking at prior to the injury was UCSD. And I was like, I want to go. Like, it's in California. You know, it's closest to home,
and
I guess you could
similar
say.
To Hawaii, most of the
yeah, like my parents would still be able to come and see me more often than they would be able to in Texas. But once they dropped me, I was just like, dang, I'm done. Like, I gave up on rehab, all of it. Like, once I started walking, I was just like, okay, I mean, I can walk, so I'm good now. I was still walking with a limp, but wasn't going to rehab, so as long as I could walk, I guess.
What made you come back to volleyball? And you could have been doing other things. You're like, but you decided to come back and overcome all the difficulties. Come back.
If I'm being honest, my mom pushed me for sure. And then once I started getting back into it, like once I got to UNT, I was just like, dang, I missed it. And I don't think I'd be able to go 4 years of strictly school. So
so
I fell back in love with it.
And then your first year, you played pretty well. Like usually when freshmen come into first year, it's a difficult transition, but you played pretty well. What do you think led to you that playing well, or was it a difficult transition on behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, it was definitely difficult. Yeah. I think the girls really helped. The older girls were super nurturing, I guess you could say. That team definitely just like, hey, we need to do this. Hey, we need to do this. So we are always like on the same page of what we needed to do. But I think the practices are tough for sure, especially my freshman year. Being that was kind of my first year back, you know, so I was like, dang, I forget how to pass the ball. I forget how to stay stopped on defense.
You had to relearn everything as you came into a new team too?
For sure.
Wow. So was there a time at a tough practice where you're like, man, I don't know if I can do this? Which one like is the one that stands out, or just a certain time where you're thinking, I don't know if I can do this?
There was one game we played, and for every time we didn't do the technique our coach wanted us to do, we would run what's called a shuttle. So it's like a 300-yard dash kind of thing. And I ran 26 of those. And that day I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm about to quit. I called my mom. I said, Mom, I can't be running. I'm not on the track team. I can't be running like that. And she was like, you're fine. Like, you're still alive, blah, blah, blah. And the older girls were like, last year we ran about 40. I'm like, dang, well, if you guys ran 40, you know, I can do it. And as the years went on, we would run a lot of them. And I just realized I was mentally like, I can't do it. So that's why I couldn't do it. And once I got over that stage, I was like, I can do it. These are tough for sure, but I'm alive. My legs are working. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, how'd you get over that hump? Like similar to high school, you just regained that love again, and then your teammates. But how'd you get over that difficult period?
I was like, if they can do it, I can do it for sure. You know? And I was like, I can't let running and practice stop me from playing the sport that I actually love playing. Like, if anyone really asks me, I'll tell them that volleyball is my escape to reality. Like, once I'm in the gym, whatever problem is going on outside of volleyball, I usually forget about it.
Was there a certain game that you like felt regained your confidence? Where you're like, oh, I'm here now. I feel confident and going forward.
I would say the Pepperdine game. I had played lib that game, and I think we broke history. I want to say maybe like the longest rally, something like that. Yeah, something like that. I don't know, but that was fun for sure. And I think not thinking so much. Oh, what is like? This might sound bad, but like, what does coach want? What technique do I have to do to get this ball? You know, it was kind of just no, see ball, get ball. So I was like, I can't keep overthinking everything, because that's when my performance is really bad.
How'd you get into that zone? Was it something you did before the game or just during that game to help you get in that zone?
I really don't know if I should say this, but it was kind of just like, you know what, this coach is being really tough on me right now. Like, I don't care what he says. Once I put that jersey on, he can't take me out, really. He can't really take me out. So might as well just play me. And if he likes it, he likes it. If he doesn't, then he'll take me out, you know?
It's kind of focusing on what you can control. Like, you can't control what your coach is going to say, but you can control your performance. Do you also use like that criticism to fuel you? Like, if your coach is really hard on you, like, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong or something like that?
I would say my freshman year, no, I wasn't like that. I was like, dang, he's telling me that I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. Like, I would second guess myself, I guess, and be like, yeah, I guess I can't do that. I guess I'm not good at this. And then I say my sophomore year is when I kind of flipped the switch and was like, he's telling me this because he thinks I can do it. So I had to like almost reprogram my mental state, I guess, and be like, he's telling me these types of things so that I can get better at it, you know, not to just shut me down, because if he wanted to shut me down, he could cut me right now. Like, I could have been gone, but I'm still here. So
I'm a coach for a youth soccer team, and so like when I'm hard on my players, I don't want them to think that I hate them or don't like them or being mean. It's to help them improve, because I know they can do it. So I think it's just that shift that I realized once I became a coach, that my coaches aren't just, they don't hate me, they're just trying to help me.
Yeah, for sure. And my sophomore year is when I started coaching club too, and I realized like, okay, my coach isn't telling me this because I can't do it. You know, I'm telling these girls, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. And it's not because, oh, you can't do it. No, I'm telling you because I know you can do it.
Is coaching a side passion for you?
I wouldn't say it's a passion, definitely just a money grab kind of thing. Exactly. But I like it for sure. Yeah, I like it. It's just not a passion.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah. That. Throughout your 4 years, again, like on paper, you're performing well each year. Were those first 2 years that the toughest part for you, or did it get tougher junior or senior year too?
No, it definitely was just my freshman year was my hardest year for sure. there, like that one practice, that's when I was like, I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
I can't do this running. I can't do it. But when it came to the games, I was like, no, the games are worth it for sure. Like those, whatever, 20-hour weeks, you
Right.
know?
And so now
Made it
you're
worth it.
you're a senior now, and you're going into your super senior year next year, and now you're a leadership position. How do you lead your teams?
I would say I lead more by example. I think I can be really assertive too on the court, but I do like to keep my relationships on the court very different from off the court. Like if we're on the court, like it's game time, you know, like we all know what we want in the end. Just leading by example, working hard day in and day out, and never really slacking. Even if I have an off day and I can only give my 70%, I try to give my all.
Yeah, you said that your relationship on the court and off the court is different. So I want to dive into that. Like, in what way is it different? And how do you you kind of harder on them on the court, and off the court you're more friends, or how does that look like?
Yeah, for sure. I think I can definitely get onto people on the court, like, hey, you need to do this, or hey, like, what are you doing? Type of thing. And then off the court, it's just like, we're cool, you know? I'm not going to be like, hey, why are you doing this off the court? No. Like, we're friends now. We're not teammates or anything. We're friends right now.
And then is it important to have that bond outside of the sport where you guys just aren't all talking about volleyball all the time?
I think so, for sure, because once we get back onto the court, the chemistry is just so much better because, oh, I know what this person is going through. So, you know, maybe I can't be so hard on her today, or I know what this person is going through and she's fine. So, like, yes, let's get on to her today type of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then you've been here 4 or 5 years now, or going on 5 years. So you've seen the cycle of players coming in, players leaving. So I want to ask about that. What is that like, having new recruits come in, and then, you know, pretty much every year it's like a different team. People leave sometimes. So what is that like?
I think in the beginning it was really hard. It's actually my junior year, whenever the head coaches changed. I think it was hard just because I was like, dang, I've been here for 3 years, you know, and it's hard seeing all those girls from the old head coach just like leave, and then it's a whole new team, you know, there's only 4 or 6 returners. You usually go into a new season with more returners than more new incomers, I guess. And this year was definitely different because it was like 6 of us and then 15 new people, you know? But once you like start practicing, start doing open gyms or bonding type of things, it's so easy. Like you still have your relationships with the old teammates for sure. Like one of my best friends she was a junior when I was a freshman. I still talk to her almost weekly, you know?
All right, so that was a bit about your story. So now we can get into your mindset. So are there any practices you do to take care of your mental health? How do you deal with the highs and lows of your sport?
Personally, I don't think I really do much. But as a team, we meet with our sports psych twice a week now. Last semester, we would meet with her once a week. And, you know, I think she just helps us with like learning how to collaborate as a team, how to communicate with each other, how to lead each other, letting all of us know that you can't speak to one person the way you speak to another person, you know, like everyone reacts to things in a different way. So learning each other in that sense, I think that helps with our mental health for sure, as a team.
You might do things that you might not even realize. So for example, you talked about talking with your mom a lot. Like some people, when they're going through tough times, they hold it in, and you did good at telling people of how you're going through. So tell us about that. Like, do you speak to friends and family, other friends and family about that? How do you release the burdens that you're going through?
I talk to my mom every day. So if I do have a problem, it's definitely through her.
Right.
I'll tell her, she'll tell me if I'm wrong or if I'm right, or not saying that she invalidates my feelings, but maybe like, hey, you're looking at it wrong, you know, like you're looking at what she told you in a negative way, look at it in a positive way type of thing. And she'll help me kind of readjust my mindset, I guess, if it is negative.
What was like the worst when people trash talk that from either opponents or from the audience that you felt? And how do you get through that?
I can only think of one game where the opponents were like trash talking. Not only me, just everyone, you know? And I kind of just like tune them out, but also like, okay, you think I'm gonna miss this pass or you think I'm gonna do this? Watch.
Yeah, you tune them out mostly, but then you kind of use a little bit of it.
Yeah, like
as
I
energy.
hear it.
Yeah,
I'm
hear
like,
it.
okay.
Yeah, for sure. You hear it.
Okay. Talk louder then.
Yeah, talk, keep going. Okay,
Yeah.
so you perform better under pressure? Or what's the most pressure you felt in the game?
I want to say it was the WK match this past year, just because that's the first time we really ever made it to semifinals since I've been here. It was like fun. Like, dang, we're almost here, guys. Come on, we gotta. Like, we made it this far. Might as well win this game and then go to championships. You know, so made it fun for sure.
So you view pressure as fun. It's not scary for you. It's fun. It's exciting.
I think it can be exciting. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'd be like, oh God, like, dang, I gotta make this pass right now. Or also, now that I'm really thinking about it, we played UTEP and I want to say the score was 14-11 and they were up. And I served us all the way up until maybe 14-14 or 15-14 when we were up. And that, I was like, dang, I don't ever want to do this again. Wow. Yeah, and prior to that game, I want to say it was my sophomore year, we played UTEP at home again, and they were up 14, we had 13. I had serve, missed my serve. They won 15-13. Okay. And I was like, dang, I was thinking about that this past year. I was like, oh my gosh, Aleeyah, like, you're the one that's in this position again. You kind of have to redeem yourself, you know, for last year. When I went back there to serve, it was just like, I wasn't looking at anybody. I didn't even look at the coach. You know, usually he'll like give me a call and I looked at him the first time and I was like, oh. Yeah, and I just focused on the ball. That's literally it.
Block everything out.
Yeah, I didn't look at anybody. Even walking back, you know, usually I'll maybe look around. No, my head stayed down the entire time.
That is a technique. I think like they say that you can only focus on one thing at a time. So if you focus only on the ball, you're not thinking about anything else, and that's gonna help you perform even better. But you said that last year or the year before, one of the times you played UTEP, you were struggling, you failed. So how do you deal with failure? And how do you deal with failure, whether in the game, like something you tell yourself in the game, or from game to game? Like if I had a bad game, then how do you bounce back the next game?
That UTEP game, I was really bummed out. I was like, dang, once we get into the locker room, like, I'm getting eaten up. Like, I'm going to get in so much trouble. I'm going to be running for days. Like, I was scared for sure going back in there. I actually remember running back to the locker room and I looked at my mom. I said, because I know I'm scared, Mom. When we got back in there, he was just saying, like, that's not the only thing that lost the game. You know, like, you can't single-handedly lose a game by yourself. So I think knowing that really helped me. I was like, yeah, he's right, because there was multiple mistakes from 0 to 15, you know? And yes, that serve really did matter because we could have had a chance if the ball had just went over, you know? But just knowing that mistakes, they're gonna happen. Yes, your teammates can rely on you sometimes, but they can't expect it 100% of the time, you know? Nobody's perfect. Right. And I think just knowing that really helped. And I think this season, like, for example, if I shanked the ball, I would, like, okay, I got to do this, you know? Like, I would technically help myself. And I think Coach Porter, the head coach now, definitely helped me. Like, you guys don't sulk in your mistake. Just fix it. Right. Just think about the technicalities of things and listen to your training, trust your training, you know? So I would have to go back and just be like, one, I would tell myself to relax. Like, now you're overthinking it because that ball, was it really that hard? Probably not. And relax and, okay, wait, what do I have to do to get that ball now? Like, what movement, or have a little spacing. So just the technicality of things.
Failure is not necessarily a bad thing. You just learn from failure and then able to get better and improve.
Yeah, for sure. I think that in order to get better and to improve your play or anything in life, really, there's going to be failure, you know, and you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think failing is very uncomfortable for sure.
So locking into a game, do you have any pregame and postgame rituals? Like, what do you do every game going into a big match?
Pregame, sleep. I'm asleep as much as I possibly can. Like, we got to be there at 9. I'm waking up the latest I possibly can, you know? and I'm gonna get ready fast and then I'm gonna leave. I think that's really important for me. And in the locker room, I would say I have to stay composed. Like I can't get too rowdy. You know, some of the girls on our team, they like to have a lot of energy, and what's good for everyone might not be good for you. So I think while they're getting rowdy, I'll laugh and I'll like join in sometimes, but I have to keep my composure and stay relaxed and honestly not think about the game at all. Like if I start thinking, that's when I usually don't perform well because I'm like, oh gosh, well, what about this hitter? Like, what's this hitter's tendencies? What's this server's tendencies, you know? Instead of just going out there kind of empty-headed and just playing.
How do you not think about anything? Like when maybe your teammates are playing music, dancing around, and you're sitting in your locker, do you do something else? How do you not think about the game? That's coming up.
I'll eat.
Yeah.
I'll eat. I'll talk. I'll just talk to them.
Okay.
When I say like stay composed, I don't mean like, okay, she's serious, you know, like don't talk to me kind of thing. But just, I'm not going to be jumping around. I'm not going to be dancing the whole time. I'm going to be laughing and talking about everything except for volleyball.
Right.
And that's usually what a lot of us do. Pregame, we won't really talk about volleyball until right before the game. Right. And I can do that. Like once we get out there and we start our warm up and all that stuff, now I'm locked into volleyball. Right. And then that's when I can think instead of overthinking in the locker room. And then when we get outside, I'm still thinking about volleyball, you know?
Exactly, because, I mean, you've done the preparation, you've done the running, the laps, all that stuff, so you've done the preparation leading up to it, and then obviously when you get to the court, then you can start talking about it. But then after a game, you watch film a lot. Like, how do you really reevaluate the things you could have done better in the game or things you do after the game?
Post-game, as soon as I get home, I'll watch the game. I just watch my movements. Like, am I moving or like, is my feet stuck to the ground? Like what's going on, you know? Or if it's a good thing, I'm like, okay, well, you did this. That's why it was good, you know? So I definitely like evaluate a lot of the movements that I do for sure.
You do it the same day? You don't even give yourself rest?
Same day.
Same night? Wow.
Same night.
Okay. Are you hard on yourself? Do you think that's something that you can improve, or do you think you're hard on yourself?
I think sometimes I can get really hard on myself. Like I pass this easy free ball on the 1 foot line instead of the 1.5 line. Just knowing that half a foot, yes. My coach right now is a perfectionist. So like, yes, it does make a difference, but it's a good pass or it's a good set still, you know? And sometimes I have to remind myself like, okay, now you're being really hard on yourself because that was good. Like,
I mean, that can be a beneficial trait, you know, to improve and continue to improve after each game. But how do you rein yourself in to not go overboard where you're like you said, you're talking about half a foot or something like that. How do you rein yourself in?
I think once I get too far into it, I'll just stop. Like I'll stop watching. And I know it might sound like cliche. Like, what do you mean you just stop? Like I literally will just turn it off and go on TikTok, go on social media and okay, volleyball's done for the night, you know?
Okay, so you have good self-control. You can be aware of yourself.
Yeah, I think my self-control is pretty good when it comes to that kind of stuff. I really don't like to overthink things.
You talked about turning it off and going on TikTok or whatever. How do you balance schoolwork, the sports, all of that? Like, what's your daily schedule like? Like, how do you do class in the morning, practice after? How do you balance throughout your day?
Monday through Thursday, I have lift at 6 to 7. All my classes start at 11. So 11 to 12:20. And then we have practice at 2:30 to 5:30. And then I also coach club. Saturday and Sunday, we really don't have anything at all. So unless I have a club tournament. And once I get home from my club practice, then I'll just like sit down, do 30 minutes of work.
Just 30 minutes of schoolwork? That's it? that's all you need?
That's fine.
I didn't know you did a lot of club coaching. That's like 3-4 hours of club coaching each night. That's really tough on you. So how do you do that?
I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know how I'm doing this right now. Just finding time to sleep, honestly, is probably my main Like, okay, if you want to be mentally well, you got to sleep, Aleeyah. Yeah. If I want to be happy, go lucky, and not so grumpy, I got to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to
That's
sleep.
definitely important. But yeah, talk about that discipline to maintain that throughout a season, throughout a year, because being a college athlete, it's monotonous, kind of do the same thing over and over. Plus, you're adding on being coach, being a coach and everything. So how do you stay disciplined and continue doing the hard work every day?
I think it's just like the will to want to do it, honestly. Like, yes, don't get me wrong. Sometimes when I go to lift, I'm like, damn, I'm tired. I don't necessarily want to be here, but I want to be here. Like, I want to get stronger. I want to be able to get stronger so that I can improve in, like, on the court, you know? So just looking at the future of things, like if I continue to go and I'm consistent with it, not like we have a choice, you know, but like the more I go, the more consistent I am with it, the better I'm going to get, the faster I'm going to get better.
So think about the long-term benefit rather than the short-term, how you feel at the moment.
If I want to be so good at this sport, then yes, Aleeyah, like you need to do all the stuff that it takes to get to that point, you know? So just knowing that what I'm doing is for the betterment of the future, I guess. Or maybe not the future, but for today in practice or for by the time season starts or we start playing games.
So you gave some great insight so far. So now we'll get into the final five. These are the final five questions I'd like to ask all the athletes. So the first question is, what's the misconception about being a D1 athlete?
That it's easy. I can't stand when people are like, well, you chose to do this, you know? I'm like, yes, I chose to do it, but like it's tough. You're going through days in and days out of straight volleyball. You're playing or whatever the sport may be. Like we're doing 4 hours of practice a day or 3 hours of practice a day. And on top of that, we have lift every morning at 6 a.m. And the fact that people think these college athletes have it so much better. Yeah, I guess you could maybe argue that a little bit, but we also are working just as hard as a regular student is, you know? Not regular student, I don't know how to word it. Yeah, I don't know how to word it, but a student that's just going to school for school. I feel like a lot of people almost look down on athletes. Like, really, you're just playing a sport that you love to play. Yes, but it's tiring at the same time.
No, it is definitely a full-time job, but you did. That's why I was surprised you added another job on top of that, coaching. So, but the second one is, what's your worst? You kind of talked about it, but what's your worst conditioning workout? Was it that time where you ran that 26 sprints?
It was that time.
That time for sure.
That was the worst thing ever.
Okay.
That was the worst thing ever for me.
Explain what it was, because you said it like 300-yard dashes, or explain what it is.
It's gonna sound so easy. That's why I don't like explaining it. And then when people do it, they're like, dang, I'm out of breath, you know? Yes, it's a 300-yard dash kind of thing, but it's like 6 down and back. So 1 and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At the time that I had to run the 26 shuttles, I want to say we had to make it in 55 seconds and then a minute and 5 seconds. I will never get over that. That's the worst thing that I've ever done, for sure. Like, to the point where I was literally crawling on the ground. Like, this old coach of mine, he'll still make fun of me. He's like, you were crawling. I'm like, I was dead. That night, I was like, nobody talked to me. Nobody called me. I'm not going on my phone. I'm going straight to sleep, right? Like, I'm getting home, I'm showering, and I'm going to bed, and I'm out for the night. And after that, like, I woke up and I was fine, you know? And I think that's also when the mental shift happened. I'm like, dang, you were complaining about all that, and look at you today, like, you're fine.
I think it helps you realize, like, pain is temporary. Like, in that moment, that was like the worst feeling you've ever felt, but then the next day, you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad.
Like, I would never wish that upon anybody. That is the worst thing ever.
Okay, and then we'll talk about the good stuff. So what's your best memory of your career?
Whenever I got my 1,000 digs, I think I was like, dang, I made it, you know? And people might think that, why is that your best memory? And I think it's because my freshman year, I was like, I was on and off as a libero. And even my sophomore year, I was on and off as a lib. So I was like, dang, I actually got here. Like, I actually broke some records. And my freshman year, if you had asked me, do you think you're going to be able to break these records? No, I don't. I think I want to say I'm 4th in like the amount of digs throughout your whole career, like the 4th highest. And that's also like a core memory for me because I'm like, it's another, I kind of made it type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
1,000 digs was that a record, or what record were you talking about?
The 1,000 digs is just like, I think it's just a big
Milestone.
thing
Yeah,
for
milestone,
everyone.
right.
Yeah, I made 1,000 digs in my
Right.
career. But the record that I'm 4th in right now, that's just total career digs. So
Okay.
trying to get my
Trying-
5th year,
that's what
and
I'm
I'm
saying.
trying to get first. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right, that's what my next question was gonna ask, if you were trying to aim for that next year. So I'm
Yeah,
guessing for sure.
definitely. That's one of my goals
Okay.
is to be on the top of
Make
that
history. Make
list.
history.
Yeah.
All right, and then what advice would you give to a high school athlete that wants to be a D1 athlete?
I would just say don't give up. Like if you want it, go get it. And if this school isn't made for you, try another school, you know? Like yes, it's so cliche to tell people like don't give up because it's really easy to give up. But you can't just stop at your first school, and I think that's where I went wrong too, and that's why I'm pretty big on it. Because if I had given up, if I hadn't had my mom who told me like, no, come on, like you got to go, I wouldn't have all the experiences that I've had here today.
That's right.
And I wouldn't even be playing volleyball right now if it wasn't for my mom. So luckily I had her, but not everyone has that person to be like, hey, come on, like just go, just go, just go. So just knowing that there's something out there for you for sure. And it doesn't need to be D1. Like everyone has this whole stigma around, oh, like I want to be a D1 college athlete. No, go be a D2, like, or go to a D3 or go to a JUCO, you know, because a lot of JUCO athletes, they make it to D1. Like maybe you're not ready for a D1 right now, but you don't need to start at a D1 to experience that college athlete type of life.
Right.
And I think a lot of people get down on it when, oh, I didn't get a D1 scholarship. It's okay. Go to a D2, go to a D3, and then make your way up to a D1.
And the last question is, how do you define the word winner?
I think that as long as you gave your all and you know that you gave your all, it doesn't need to be a perfect game in order for you to be a winner. You don't need to actually win the game to be a winner, but as long as you gave everything that you possibly could have and that was your 100%, you win.